Oaks, Chief of Police of the Fort Worth Police Department, and we are here to talk about a critical police incident that involved an officer-involved shooting, which is never something any of us like talking about. It's a sad situation anytime an officer is forced to use their weapon. It's a sad situation anytime anyone's shot, but unfortunately these are the realities that officers face on a daily basis, and we're here in the interest of transparency to give you the information that we have at this time. So today at about 12:20 p.m., Fort Worth Police Department received a call in reference to a Priority 1 domestic disturbance. And the information we received from the female caller was that her brother was on scene and threatening her with a handgun. About 4 minutes later, at 12:24, officers arrived on scene and began the investigation. Just 1 minute later, at 12:25, the suspect fled out the back of the residence. Officers chased after the suspect, who refused to stop. In an attempt to take the suspect into custody, officers used less lethal force in the form of a taser. Unfortunately, that taser deployment was not effective and did not subdue the suspect. At about 12:26, the suspect presented a deadly threat to the officers, which put them in fear of their life. One Fort Worth police officer, a 15-year veteran, fired at the suspect, who was struck at least one time. Officers immediately rendered medical aid to the suspect, who was subsequently transported to a local hospital. The last update we had is that he is in stable condition at this point. It's important to note that a handgun was located on scene in the immediate area of the suspect. Fort Worth Police Department major case detectives and internal affairs detectives responded to the scene, and they'll be conducting an investigation. We also want to note that the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office responded to the scene as well. I'm asking for prayers for everyone involved in this situation, and that includes the officers who were involved. Officers face trauma in their personal lives like anyone else, but they're also in a profession where they face trauma at work. In addition, they frequently face the vicarious trauma that other people experience on a daily basis. We're going to make sure all officers involved receive the resources they need. I pray for them daily, I support them, and we're asking you to do the same. I can take a few questions.
Chief, the female caller who, if I heard you correctly, said that her brother was threatening her, how is she doing?
I have not spoken with her, I've been not given an update, but we had no indication whatsoever that she was injured.
Right. Can you talk about the dangers of domestic calls that you guys face? Why are they so particularly dangerous?
Officers never know what they're going to encounter when they respond to any scene, regardless of what details they may receive. What may seem to be a very benign situation can turn bad quickly. But officers also know domestic violence situations are oftentimes the most dangerous and the most deadly because it's personal for the people involved. There are emotions involved, and oftentimes when there's so much emotion involved, logic doesn't play a part in the equation. And because of the volatility of the situation, domestic disturbances, unfortunately, are not only dangerous to the victims of that senseless crime, but to the officers who respond as well.
Is there any indication right now that the person that was shot by the officer has had any contact with law enforcement in the past?
We don't have that information at this point. Once we have more information like that, we can share it, but I don't know right now.
So the taser did not work, and this man grabbed the gun on him and presented it? Is that what you were saying? Was able to?
I want to be really careful how I phrase it.
Okay.
Since we're so early on, we want to make sure we look at all the evidence we have, all the information we have, to see exactly the way the threat was presented. And I don't want to have to walk back a statement right now, but that's the information we have. They were presented with a deadly threat from this suspect.
Is there any indication that that gun was actually pointed at the officer, or you just don't know that now?
That's going to be part of the investigation, yes, sir. And we will let you know as soon as we do.
Work, or did it malfunction, or did he just overpower the shock from it, or he wasn't affected by it?
All I can tell you at this point about the ineffective taser deployment is just that. We'll be looking to see exactly what caused it. There are several different things that can cause either a malfunction. Sometimes the contact is not good enough for it to work. And as you said, sometimes someone can just work through the taser deployment, but once we find that information out, we'll share it as well.
So it could be any of those.
Yes, ma'am. It could be anything. That's just some possibilities. And listen, I apologize. We can't give you more specifics on those right now. We wanted to get you the information we could as soon as we could, but we will provide more as it becomes available.
What the original domestic was about?
No, sir. We haven't been given that information yet, but that will be part of the
You don't know if they
investigation.
both live there.
No, couldn't tell you exactly where
Who
they
lives
live.
there? The girl? Does she live there?
You know what? I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to give you a statement that I may have to correct later, but we'll find that out as well.
Can you tell us if the officers had knowledge that this man may have had a gun prior to responding to the call? Was there any indication from the family at all?
Yes, there was. Part of the details of the call from the sister who called said her brother was threatening her with a firearm. So officers, when responding to the scene, were well aware of the fact that they may encounter a gun when they arrived.
So they originally showed up to that scene and he fled. Did they give chase, or did they end up finding him nearby while they were searching for him?
My understanding is they chased and were able, that's why they were able to get to him so quickly. As soon as he ran out, they ran towards the danger and went after the suspect.
All right, guys, thank you very much.